Hello, I am back once again, and today is Friday. And surprise, I did an entire week according to my schedule. I actually did it. Big reveal. I am a capable human being who can follow his own planning. So, yeah, we'll see if this can continue next week. Let's actually check right now. Next week will be the 10th and the 12th of December. That should be okay. Then if the 17th and the 19th, then that's also okay. Then we have the 24th and the 26th. Ah. Well, that'll be a later concern. Let's just jump to Stormworks and build a boat with a gun. Will it work, though? Will OBS, hello by the way, cooperate? Yes, it will. Because, software. Sometimes it works. A lot of times, it doesn't. Yeah. Also, on my work laptop, I have a very peculiar issue with opening PDF files. If I use the software that we use, as a company, you often have like a piece of software that allows everybody to put files on a drive and then, use that. But if I first open a PDF file from my email, if somebody sends one to me, then I can't open one from the piece of software because it says can't find the path. But if I open it from the software first, it works. It's a very peculiar problem. And I made a ticket for IT, to find out that if it's a problem with a setting somewhere. And IT basically said just open from the software first. The IT is sometimes a little bit useless. They have at some point restarted my PC before I got the chance to save shit. So that was a very nice experience to have. Don't want to repeat it. Because it was just, I had files open. Then I just restarted the PC. Who cares? Which meant I lost a bunch of progress. No wait, I did save it, but I didn't get just to upload it. So I lost a couple hours of progress at that point. And my laptop often blows a lot. Oh yeah, this boat. Also, I didn't get around to making a counter yet for the drinks. If you were here last stream, you would have known that I got a... Ah, hello. Yes. And also, I didn't get around to making a counter yet. Considering I was quite busy yesterday. Ah, hello. The vehicle building game? Wait. Oh. Come on. Yeah. You know, Alright, let's spin the wheel again for another boat. For another gun I have to make a boat with, but let's exclude machine guns. Potential if the ship is big enough to actually facilitate it. If it isn't, then I don't care. Let's spin the wheel of names. Oh boy. Rocket. But how do you... Cannot reload it once empty. So I basically, what I can do is just grab the same boat, but instead of guns, I put rocket launchers. I'm just gonna remove the rockets, considering they're not an easy thing to work with. Yes, not for a boat. But I've spun the wheel of names again, and it says light autocannon. Which basically is one step up from... Although... It's like... Yes, it's one step up from the machine gun, but it's still just a small thing. And I can just, you know, do this and make the same setup I had before. Like, that's the problem. I made this platform, but I can easily adapt it now. Yeah, but I don't really want to do the same thing again. I could make a bigger ship and just add like 5 turrets on them. But a light autocannon would be useless for that. So I guess I'm removing the light autocannon as well. Now this is an interesting one. It's still slowing. This is an actual challenge. Artillery cannon. What, you mean just like the same setup as before, but with an artillery cannon? Well, consider I'm actually thinking of making more of a actual ship that has like 2 or 3 turrets. That can just move like 90 degrees to one side, 90 degrees to the other side, and a little bit up, so you can actually, you know, do ranged attacks. So let's then make a hull. We are getting the damage output. Fair point, but more ammo. Like you can't reload your missile. Yes, but that's more bodies. That's more lag. It's just... Yeah, but if you spawn the boat or spawn the creation in and you have all the rockets there, it can get laggy on lower NPCs. Also, lower NPCs... I feel like video games are gonna have to switch to... like, game studios are gonna have to switch to making games for lower end PCs. Because otherwise, yeah, but considering the the shortages that we're currently having, it might actually be more interesting for a game studio to make games for low end PCs, because otherwise you're gonna end up with, I made a game for high end PCs, only a few people can actually play it because they have the money. With the rising prices of PC parts these days, because I wanted to. Exactly, but stuff like, yeah, but stuff like AAA studios are gonna basically start slowly becoming irrelevant unless they do something that Helldivers did. Helldivers 2. Yeah, but like what Helldivers 2, they went from, yeah. Are they still relevant? Because the thing is, right, Helldivers 2, yeah, but like with Helldivers 2, they managed to get the file size from 154 gigabytes to like 23. They managed, it is still in beta, and your loading times might increase by a couple seconds if you use an HDD. But the file size shrinking by so much, just by optimizing, shows how poorly optimized games are these days. And I just, yeah, but this actually shows because, yeah, but the thing is, right? Like back in, like, I already knew that games were, like, video games were a little bit, unoptimized, but I didn't realize it was actually this bad. I didn't realize it was 131 gigabytes bad. That are multiple games of storage that people can just now free up. I understand that. I guess this should be tall enough for the, yeah, I guess. But it's like, if every AAA studio started doing the optimization that they did with Helldivers 2, people would be playing those games a lot more often. That as well. Like, I would. Well, eventually you're gonna run into the limit of a CD, but technology continues to improve, so eventually you're gonna get CDs with bigger storage. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I'm willing to buy an entirely new PC case if it means I get to have a CD or DVD tray back in there that I can, you know, Also, if you think about it, like games like Forza Horizon, how gigantic does that game have to be? Like it is enormous for what it actually is. Yeah. Also, another good point, phone games. Like I can remember having it on my phone, which had at that point like 16 gigabytes of space, because phones. This was quite a while ago. I can remember struggling when games started getting over 100 gigabytes, then or 100 megabytes, then went over a gigabyte. To me, that just seems ridiculous and unnecessary, especially for a phone game. Yeah, because people realized, hey, we can very easily do this without proper optimization. Yeah, which is a bit dumb, but I guess. Yeah, if people just thought and went, maybe I want more of a quality product that people have actually put their effort into. Yeah, they got scrapped because companies would go bankrupt because everybody would buy one of those light bulbs. And yeah, yeah. They're probably bloody expensive. Also, that it also happened with a company that made like industrial mixers and everything for like restaurant kitchens. Those machines are so reliable that it can go they with a little bit of maintenance easily do 100 years or around that time. The company eventually just went bankrupt. This happened this happened years ago, and it's just planned obsolescence, I guess. Which is why I bought a Fairphone instead of a Samsung or Apple. I would never buy an Apple anyway, but I bought a Fairphone. I specifically bought a Fairphone because of the repairability of it. If my battery, like Yeah. 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 As you said yourself, late stage capitalism. Yeah, I lost one on this. This one, my phone doesn't have that one, and I'm sad about it. Yeah. 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 The Yeah, but Apple has, like, somebody made a good point. Hasn't really been a phone company recently, more of a fashion statement. What- They also, instead of making, like, waiting a couple years, developing, thinking of something innovative to do with your phone, pushing in a different direction, like trying to really push stuff, Apple has just been ditching that and instead using a year on year release basically. They kind of followed the FIFA route of making money. Just push out the slightly changed bullshit every year, and people will still buy it anyway because it's the newest model, and I have to show off to the rest of the world that I waste money. Because wealth here in this economy is based on waste. If you can waste more, you're rich. If you can't waste anything, you're poor. No, they're the ones that own it. Like, yeah, there are a couple rich people that are known, but a lot of them, you'd have to look into like a magazine full of the richest people to actually see them, to actually get their names. Yeah, I did see a couple of memes about Cloudflare being down again. But it's a meme on Reddit, so it might be outdated. It's a 9 hour old meme. Yeah, I can understand that. Hmm. Yeah, that is strange. Right, this seems like I might want to make this a little bit more pointy though. 4, 2, if I then go to a 1, do like a couple ones, then do a 2, then do a 1, then another 1 here, then another 2 here, and a 4 here. Yeah, this looks a little bit better as the shape of a ship. Now I have to somehow merge this top shape here with this shape here. No. From the top, yes. Yeah, but there's going to be a superstructure on top here. With a turret at the front here, probably one in the back, and maybe another one in the semi in the front. Yeah, this shape is way too different from this shape, I know. Also, should probably work on this bit as well. Do I want to really be annoying and make this like this? Where I just... Well, usually there is space for one in the sim tray. Yeah, the headphone jack, I find one of the most annoying things that they removed. Because it is a feature that, although the standard has been used for a while now, it still works. Like a lot of people. Yeah, because these days, what you now have to do is, have you heard, about the adapter? You have to, like, have we not learned anything at all from Apple? Like, have we seriously not learned what Apple did? Yeah, but what I'm talking about is the fact that Apple, for a very long time, basically, I think they never actually had a headphone. They might have at some point had a headphone jack. Yeah, definitely, but a lot of, like, I can remember at school when I was like 12 or something that you'd see people with like a normal headphone, like with a 3.5 millimeter jack, into an adapter to a... Yeah, but it's very annoying because it was one of those, like, with the when Apple had the lightning port, you needed an adapter just to be able to connect a simple microphone or like headphones. Yeah, proprietary as fuck, but it is to the point where I'm thinking almost about learning how to make make the stuff and trying to manufacture it myself, so I actually have what I want and not deal with companies trying to shove everything down your throat. Yeah, that's why I'm happy to have a Fairphone, because it's actually, even though it still runs, normal Android, it's still a nice phone with an actual, which is with something that I had a couple of phones back with a Xcover 4 that I had as a phone. First of all, that was a great phone. It is one of the very few phones that you can actually pull the back off, even now. But it is more of a phone that's built for, like, people that work in construction. It is its own case. It has specifically has the Xcover 4 has a protrusion above the screen from factory. It is actually designed to be thrown around, to be damaged. Those are good phones. But yeah, but it also had something that I'm sort of missing, some that I currently have. Again, it was a feature that I later saw on a lot of phones, which is a separate button. It had the Xcover button, which was just like, here, I have an extra programmable button on your phone that you can make it do whatever you want. That's an incredible feature to have. I have one, yes. It can also be slightly annoying if you turn your phone off, but you accidentally leave your finger on the button for too long, and whoops, I sometimes have that issue where, yeah, like my Fairphone has a specific button that is a like a sliding button, like a switch, that originally just puts it in like a sort of this save mode almost, where it's just, making your phone, like, blocking a bunch of stuff so you can just focus on whatever you need to focus on. It, yeah, it is somewhat expensive as as a phone, but as someone that owns one, it is still a very nice thing to have. Like, I've looked at the. Eh, yeah, but that is the same. Like, I get that argument, like, just don't break your phone. But do you break your phone on purpose? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I have the tendency to, drop it sometimes. Have it slip out of my pocket. I do have a case and a screen protector around it, but I still basically also open case. But even though the fact that yes, it is an open case, it's still, you know, with the proper protrusions above the screen. Although I do have one downside with the Fairphone, and that is the placement of the volume buttons. Which they put the volume buttons on the left side of the phone and the power button and the programmable switch on the right side. But instead of putting the power buttons up high, they put them halfway down the phone. Which means that, let's say you want to clamp your phone into a clamp to use it in your car for navigation, you're going to have to clamp it in really, really high. You're going to have to put the clamp all the way at the bottom. Otherwise, it is going to be touching one of the volume buttons. You mean the cards that will eventually scratch up your screen protector? Also, quick thing. You mean the cards in your phone case that eventually just straight up damage your screen? Because I can speak from experience. I've had that where my eventually my screen protector had just 3 lines of scratches from opening and closing my phone case. Where do you think I order them? AliExpress, of course, where everybody else orders them. You can get those there as well. Somewhat, yes. But they still work. Also, that might be the case indeed. But it's... I mean, that was a while ago. So, yeah. But yeah, if I have to order another screen protector for my phone, which won't be in a while because I finally found a really good one. You're just... Oh, I've had shitty screen protectors where I had to basically replace it once a month. That is when I learned that if you order those shitty ones, order like 12 of them in one go so you can last a bit. Yeah. Yeah. This was before I got the Fairphone. This was when I still had a Samsung. And another good reason why I got the cheap ones. At that point I was still in school. You think I had money? Yeah. But what would you rather spend your money on as a student, you know? The slightly more expensive one or just a couple cheap ones? As a, like, 12-year-old, basically. Yep. Yeah, the good point there. But this was when I was like, at the latest like 15. Like once you find a couple, like one good brand or a couple good ones, then you're set. Then all you have to do is just, manage your stuff. If you can somewhat manage your, like, phone case a little bit and your screen protectors, then it's fine. But yeah. Did you mean here you have one USB-C port, which is your charger, and every other port where you need to buy a dock from our company as well, just to be able to use your device? Oh yeah, that's shitty practice. Instead of, using the... Is that the standard for laptop, seriously? Yeah, I haven't bought a laptop in 4 years, so... Isn't there is a laptop brand. Yeah. Although you are basically you do need to sell your kidney for that. Like those get expensive quite quickly. Yeah, the framework stuff. I remember the name. Although it is, if it's the only brand that allows you to repair stuff, I guess it might also be why parts are getting more expensive. Because if nothing is repairable, then why sell the parts if everybody just... Yeah, yeah, because if nobody can repair your shit, then everybody has to just... Yeah, you don't have any competition with parts. Although I feel like you can get a lot healthier of a company by basically selling a repairable device and then also having a good parts store behind it so that people go to your store instead of third parties. So, yes, you're selling less full units. However, you're also selling the individual parts. Like, to me, that seems like a very decent strategy for a business. Like, last time I looked, it was like 1600. That was years ago. I think it was even before COVID. Yeah, so the cheapest option is basically $2,000. Yeah, I'm really starting to realize how fucked we are in this economy. Like how actually royally fucked we are with how we basically let company. All we did was basically just pull our pants down and tell the companies come and get it because yeah, yeah, but it's just like how did we let it get this bad as the consumer? Because in the end, us the consumers have the power. If we decide to stop buying from a specific company, yeah, fair enough. But the thing is, right, with the whole, for example, a boycott can absolutely ruin a company if it lasts long enough. If you really think about it. Yeah, Apple can be a lost cause. What? What? Where am I? Well, no, the game is acting up. Hold on, I pressed some weird amount, but maybe because I opened up my settings accidentally. That yeah, that seems to fix the issue. Like this bottom part works, but I tried to put a 2 here, and it doesn't work here. Then it doesn't work here. So it would work if I were to put a 1 here. But if you look at the shape one on top of here, you're not getting that with this. Yeah, I have a feeling that in a couple of years we're just gonna be dealing with everything being expensive and multiple countries being in complete ruin. You were saying? Kinda, we already are. And that is really depressing. Yeah, because they're cheap. People want cheap. Apart from maybe like a couple people in very small companies that have been bought out anyway. So basically, that's why I'm glad I have a couple of CDs and that I have some knowledge to work with my hands. Because maybe in a couple of years, it's really gonna come in handy. That is a point. AI is a major issue as well. Yeah. Yeah. Or they have completely disappeared at that point. They basically said, "All right, just have our jobs, have the entire thing." That is something that I'm glad I did with one of my internships, my very first one. The company that I went to did bodywork for old cars. You can't get more physical than that, pretty much. All right, see you at some point. Bye. It is a complex field, the metal. Yeah, because what we basically did said we are too good for those jobs. We're first gonna put it to the. We're first gonna. It might sound a bit racist, but we're first gonna send it to the immigrants because they do it for cheap. Yeah, and now that AI is coming along, all those jobs that we said we're too good for are jobs that are gonna be necessary in order to survive pretty soon. Which means that my study, mechanical engineering, was quite smart to do. Considering you can practically go anywhere with that degree. And just, yes, it's a bit on a lower level, but, that means it actually have some practical knowledge. Because that's something we also really fucked ourselves with the government pushing over multiple decades to basically say tell the children, study as much as you can. Which, of course, could have been also been a big scheme to get people, to pay more money, because paying more money means you're gonna get into more debt, which means you have to pay more. You have to pay the schools more, because the higher the education, the more expensive it gets. I did a slightly lower education, and I'm 20 years old. I have a car. I have a job, and yeah, I basically started making money. Yeah, yeah. And I went for MBO. Yeah, I went for an MBO because yeah, like I went for MBO purely because well, it's the advice that I basically got and I went with. Like I could have gone for higher study, but because of my previous experiences with higher education being bad because of the people, like it, higher education brings like a different kind of people with it. it like it's full of people that basically party all day, are just basically the rich snobs. Like like that's what you're getting. Yeah. In the meantime, if you joke around somebody who just has like went to like a trade school or something and just learned stuff like woodworking, you make a joke around them and they just start making more racist jokes than you could ever imagine. It's hilarious. Yeah. Yeah. Because we actually understand. Like we're both MBO people. Like we understand that in order to make society work, you don't just need those higher education people. You need also need. I mean, I started with well, the only reason I can think of is more. It basically becomes a scheme where schools just make more money with useless studies, where the only occupation you can get after you get that degree is becoming a teacher for that study. That's basically yeah, yeah, instead of saying this. Yeah, that is something I've noticed as well. The medical stuff can just drag on. Like, luckily for my issues, I went through shit pretty quickly because, as a child, you're gonna basically, like, the doctors that I had were good. Like, I had pretty much, I think, one of the best surgeons. And also what I have has become quite rare considering it's sort of a birth thing, or just nerve damage caused by birth, which these days we can see a lot easier, and thus basically, right, C-section it is. Instead of what happened with me was just go out the normal way, be too big, get stuck, nerve damage. So what I had become quite rare, to the point where they specifically asked me, like, apart from the multiple times asking if an intern can take a look at me, as sort of study, I've actually questioned, like, if a video from my childhood can be shown at a big, worldwide medical conference, as a sort of example. Like, that, at least a surgeon that I had, or per doctor I basically went to, was that good. But having that good of a doctor can be quite rare. And in more cases, it's basically, like, I've heard stories about, especially GPs, basically being useless. Like, just, you can know more by just clicking the first link on Google or looking at the AI overview. Yeah. 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 It's almost like we pushed ourselves to learn as much as possible, going to the really advanced stuff, but then go on to neglect the actual, like, yeah, we might discover some stuff, but we've neglected the basic stuff so much that it has become a shit show. Which is bad enough already, but it's just, like, all right, let's make something. Yeah. And also just in general with it's also part of the economy these days where you just throw shit away, but it's like, if something breaks, I either take it fully apart to, have the parts. Like, I have an entire shopping bag full of stuff I took apart, for fun. Like, basic screwdriver set, a lot of home appliances you can just take apart. That's no. Because 10, $20, boom, you have a really good screwdriver set that lasts you forever. But yeah. But like, the thing is, a lot of people these days just next to none. It is next to none. Like, yeah, we don't really own a drill here yet. I should probably take a look into that. We do have a drill somewhere. Like, before we started moving, we had multiple drills, and I think we still have one laying at the spot where I work on old Volkswagens. Like, there's still a drill, but it's somewhere. But a lot of the time, people just have like, oh yeah, we know someone in the family that has tools, and we just ask them every time something breaks. Well, in reality, it's a lot better if you can just, fix stuff. It's also a shame that we don't have a store that sells parts individually. I think there's actually only one store within the Netherlands. Yeah, I think there is still one hardware store that does that. I think Hornbach still has some. Yeah, but I think Hornbach still actually has those things where you can actually buy singular screws instead of having. Yeah. Yeah, unless you are into doing a bunch of projects, which luckily I'm kind of are, so I still have to fix my lighting within my closet, but for that I need to fix my 3D printer, and I'm kind of too lazy to do that because I have to do the bed leveling manually. So I'm thinking of actually getting a new 3D printer. Yeah. Reciprocating saw. Yeah. Electric screwdriver, which is basically like a weak ass drill. That's just what it is. It. Yeah, like eventually, like at some point, I was with my mother at at a hardware store, and I saw a like $30 kit, and I was like, should I get that? And I was like, just get it. So I got it. So I might have to charge it again, but it's an incredibly easy thing to use, and I've used it even to drill into my wooden bed without making like I put the screw on there, then just pushed to get the screw to bite. because I didn't make a hole beforehand and just drilled into it. Like within within our family, like all the basically the dads have it. Like my two uncles on my mother's side have a bunch of tools. But apart from, like, I think on my dad's side it's very limited. Like my grandma on my dad's side still has basically an entire closet full of tools. And I took some of that as well. I feel like if my grandma passes away, I'm gonna get a lot more tools. But it's like I basically took a thread cutting set because I kind of needed it to cut some threads, or yeah, to cut some inside threads into a couple of brackets so I could put a train luggage rack on the side of my bed because trains. Yeah. Ah. Yeah. Well, I guess good luck. Why? Good point. Like I've experienced that once. It it was to kind of make a joke about it as well. It was hell. Like imagine you woke up from a hotel. You wake up in a hotel. It's 9 a.m. You just want to get breakfast, pretty much. Like you're hungry. You want to have some breakfast before you embark on your multiple-hour journey back home. And what you're getting is basically a big fuck you. And you have to go to the train station to go to a to-go store that is basically always open as long as there are trains arriving, just to get breakfast. Because all the grocery stores and other shit is closed till 12 or doesn't open at all. Yeah, that's how bad it is. All right, good luck. Yeah, basically this entire conversation can be boiled down to we used to have it way better, but we dropped the ball and everything, and now we suffer. In the land of everything's expensive, companies own everything. So my advice to everybody that is listening tonight, or in the morning or in the afternoon, is even if you don't really have any interest in anything like tools or everything like that, just get the basic set of tools. Like just get a simple screwdriver set your for like $10. It is inexpensive. And if something slightly breaks or you notice something is like rattling a little bit, or with IKEA furniture, just instead of having to, often IKEA furniture includes the Allen key that you have to use and it includes the tools. But having some of your own allows you to, fix stuff. Like, it allowed me to also save money on. For, like, the biggest example I can think of is when my window mechanism sort of went out in my car. Did I go to a mechanic and say window doesn't open, fix please, and probably waste 100 to 200 bucks on getting it fixed for a 40 euro part? No, I did not do that. That's expensive. I don't want to get scammed like that. So what I did is I looked up. I knew there was a junkyard nearby. I ordered the part online, went there to pick it up, 40 euros, and a slight detour driving home from work later. I had the new second-hand part. Then one Saturday when I was available, because life can be busy, I decided I'm just gonna go to the place we're working on the old Beetles and everything, and or these days different cars are involved. Sort of evolved into a workshop for everyone. But apart from that, it basically was all right. I'm just gonna fix it. So I looked up a tutorial beforehand. Tutorial was 15 minutes. I eventually took like 3 hours, but first time doing it. I undid some some nuts, just undoing some screws first, get the door card off, disconnect some electrical connectors, all that. Then I took the old mechanism out, still supporting the window, because if you remove the mechanism that holds the window up, it's going to drop, and you don't want that, because if you just let glass fall, it's going to shatter inside your door, and you're going to have to buy a new window as well. That would be a shame. So you don't want it to break. So what do is, well, I supported the window with a piece of wood. My tutorial even included the size of the piece of wood as 51 centimeters for a first generation Renault Twingo, for those who are curious. And I just followed the tutorial for a bit, like, just undoing the screws, taking stuff out, getting the new stuff in the right position, shoving it in there, putting Vaseline on it to, make the window go smoother. That is actually what it asked for. So I was like, sure, perfect. Rubbing it on there. And like at first I get that as well. Some grease, stuff like that. And once that was done, I basically put everything back together. First, forgot to take the piece of wood out. That was a really fun experience. When I just finished putting the door card back in and connecting everything back up, I thought, while cleaning up, fuck the piece of wood. So I got the wood out of there again, and boom, 3 hours later, I was done. I did spend probably a little bit longer than a actual trained professional would, because trained professionals are often faster at doing stuff than you are. Trust me, they are. But apart from that, wait, can I push it one back? Yes, I can. But apart from that whole thing of having to, instead of bringing it to a garage where they spend like a day working on it, I have to pay not only, like, that's the thing, instead of having to pay for labor as well, I did the labor myself. Yes, you spend more time, but that's a small price to pay. Well, that's a price you don't have to pay for the new stuff. Which I got to spend an afternoon working on my car. Which, if you don't like it, I can kind of get why you go for a mechanic. But for me, it was just, let's go for it. Let's spend an afternoon or a half a day and just fixing it. And it was fun. And to me, it was kind of fun. Instead of spending 200, which it probably would be considering the labor that I spend on it, let's say 160, I spent 1/4 of that. Got to actually spend an entire evening doing, entire day doing, like half day doing stuff, instead of the usual doing nothing that I do. And that became, and then I'm like, yeah, sure, nice, fun. And that's basically same with the windshield wipers that are replaced. Like that also, I also had to apply problem solving skills to a rare one, which Autodoc bothers still bothers me a little bit. That they had, I looked up for a rare wiper blade. They said, sure, this one will fit, or like an 80% fit, 80% chance that it will fit. So I was like, yeah, nice, I can get it fit. It didn't. The blade length was correct. However, the mounting wasn't. So instead of saying, ah shit, throw this one away, buy a new one, I was like, alright, can we replace just the rubber part, because that's the thing that needed replacing. With a little bit of messing around, I actually did it and replaced it. And that's, is a very nice thing to have. The problem solving skills, the passion, and just the overall willingness to get shit done and make sure that once it is done, there isn't a struggle to, keep it done, and just, do things professionally, making sure that everything is good. The quality control, if you do it yourself, you can actually, be smart about it. You might not have to do it every time. And so, yeah, you can still bring your car to a mechanic. But for the simple stuff like refilling fluids and windshield wipers, or even an oil change, I could get, because many people don't have the knowledge or the motivation or time to put it in. But I would make time for it. Like, actually, the not having time is sort of a bullshit thing. Like, oh, you don't have time? Then why aren't you making time? Why aren't you specifically going for the choice of, oh, I have to do an oil change. Well, how long will that take me? It will take me that long. Alright, then I guess I'll just make that time available during one of the days that I have available and calmly work on my car. It's something you can easily do. Of course, for the more advanced stuff, you could bring it away to a mechanic, but you could also do the approach of try to fix it yourself, and if it gets worse, then call in an expert. But if you do that approach, you have to be prepared for the inevitable "who did this?" question, which car mechanics often, can question, like, who did this bad work? And then of course you're not going to own up to your own to the mistakes you made, because they will laugh at you. Don't be bothered by it. It's just, they're surprised that you even managed to breathe. But yeah, if you can deal with that, sort of stuff, then you can easily just try that approach. First, try fix it yourself. If you mess it up too much, call the expert. Expert fixes it, costs you maybe some more money. You can even say, yeah, I tried to fix it myself. Can I watch you guys do it so I can learn? Like, either they're complete dicks and don't allow you, which at that point, find a different mechanic. But if they do allow you, then they're like, alright, this person tried, made the mistake, but they want to learn. They're willing to actually put in the effort to find out how it works and how they can do it. People are willing to teach. Especially in this economy, we're forgetting how kind people are, or can be. These days we only heard the bad stories, because of course there are some bad stories in between, and they should still be reported on, We basically went all out with the, stranger danger, and we really pushed that part deep into the brains of the children, to the point where, you don't talk to strangers. They might be dangerous. The 80-year-old grandma might be very dangerous. The grandma who takes half a minute to cross the street because she walks at 1 kilometer an hour. Like, of course, there are still some sketchy people out there. Don't get me wrong on that. I know. But I feel like as a society, we need to push more towards the just, seeing the kindness in people and actually, bringing them in, getting people to see that not everybody is a scary murderer. Just some. And the ones that aren't are most people. And that's something I often see with that I had when, like, for example, a bus was delayed or a train was delayed. Like, if something like that happens, you hear people communicating with each other. You hear some speculation about what happened or why. You start hearing those things about saying, and you're really annoying, isn't this? And you just say, yeah, this is really annoying, and you get some conversation. That's something that has disappeared. That people need to, again, not everybody is willing to, and personally, I'm not always in the mood to talk. But it's still, because this society really just wants introverts at this point. Because, if we force everyone to be alone, and if everybody is, supposed to only, is, not really supposed to, just keep to themselves and everything, yeah, you're just gonna get everybody introverted. And then no socialization happens. But I mean, for example, it's great for capitalism as well, because people get lonely, but they're not really ones to communicate, so they might try, for example, a dating app. Those dating apps will be then they make those dating apps incredibly pay to win. And yes, it's an actual term that is for dating. Like, I've seen reviews, because I looked at some of them for like the fun of it. Especially the apps that have very bad reviews are funny to see just how bad it is. And the ones that I've seen most often is having to pay to continue a conversation. So, let's say you finally found someone to talk to. You finally found a potential partner. Well, you sent 5 messages, pay more to continue the conversation. Which just leads, but you also block the ability to put any message in that might be a username or a phone number or some form of external communication. You want to keep them within the app, make them pay, earn money. And we should try and step away from that bit. You know, instead of saying we're just going to let this happen, we should be focusing, we should make it more for people that, you know, actually just want to find someone to talk to or stuff like that, just free. Or maybe for a small one-time price. Screw your subscription. I'm willing to pay like a couple months of a subscription to use the service for free after that. It used to be like that back in the day. Used to be able to, you know, everything would be a one-time purchase. Like, oh no, I have to, like, oh, I want to buy the premium of a game. I have seen phone games where the premium version, without, you know, without the, oh my god, why do I get an ad every 10 seconds? Is a subscription. Usually it used to be like 2 to 3 euros to remove ads. And some games it still is like that. But more and more games are just, oh yeah, pay. Pay us a monthly price. We'll give you the, we'll give you for the low price of a consistent amount for a month. We will grant you no advertisements. However, we will still fuck you over. Oh, I forgot to take the back. And the top. Yeah, we should really try and find more stuff that is better for your wallet. You know, when they actually, you know, try and get the people to actually understand what is happening. Get people onto cheaper alternatives that they can actually afford to use, and maybe make them pay a one-time fee to use that service forever. Like, screw licensing and everything. Just, oh, you bought the license once? Have fun using it. We don't care anymore. What we don't care if you use your license for 1 year, 2 year, 10 years. Like, if you still want to combine capitalism into that, you know, if you still want to be a greedy pig, then what might be a somewhat of an alternative is have the license for a major version, and every once in like 5 to 10 years, you upload another major version as an optional stuff. Like, of course, support for the older versions will eventually end, but the least thing you can do is keep the, like, let's say you buy a license for version 1, but after like 5 years, version 2 comes out. But you still have your version 1 license. Yes, you might miss some of the features, or it might be slightly worse, who cares? It's still functional. You can still do your job. And after you're done with that license, after maybe like 10 years, because version 3 came out already, and the support for version 1 is like ends in a couple years, and you want to be ahead of the curve, and you upgrade to version 3, great. You bought another license. That is a way better subscription model than pay us every year and always update to the newest version, or else you're going to be screwed. People need to realize that a subscription is a bad idea. And don't get me started on the... Oh boy. Don't get me started on the buy now, pay later bullshit that they think people will actually do. And the worst part is, they actually do. Like, I seen a meme, like, back in the 80s, people were like, I'm 20 years old, or like 25, I have a house, I have children, I have a car, and then 2025, I have hot dog debt. Because, another big grocery store chain decided that it was smart to allow people to go into debt over food. The basic necessity. Or same thing goes for like water. Especially with AI these days. Like those big warehouses use quite a lot of power and water to keep themselves cool. That means that you're gonna be suffering. It seems to be less bad now, by the way, the tilting. Yeah. This is survivable. If I just maybe add a little bit more weights to it. Yeah. People just need to really realize what's going on and realize that we can fix this as a society. It might be a bit of a struggle. Life might get a little bit uncomfortable. But if you bite through it right now, it's going to be less painful later down the line. When, you are actually dealing with the problems of everything is a subscription. Everything needs an account to do something so they can collect your cookies, which, try and read it for once. Some of those cookies last a year. A full year of data collection that you often blindly say yes to. That's why these days I just turn it off every single time I have the chance to. And sometimes it is actually a situation of, give me 5 minutes, I gonna have to turn off my cookies again. Because big corporation thinks that I need them. Instead of saying, oh, you don't actually need the cookies, we can just, we just won't use your data then. But because data collection makes money, you know what that means. Everything is ruled by money. Yay. God, this stream has just been a rant about right to repair, capitalism, fixing your own shit. I've been ranting about this for 100 minutes, basically. Huh. Guess it really bothered me. Oh, it's nice to have it off my chest. It's nice to have it off my chest and actually, potentially for people listening to me, I really hope I do. And I really hope that I can potentially motivate some of you people into, fixing your own stuff instead of going to the nearest store and buy new. Even if it's really complicated, yeah, and if it's unfixable, just buy new. Because otherwise you're going to be sinking a lot more money into it than necessary. But if the only difference between doing it yourself and buying new is just the pricing, basically being, oh, I have to spend more money, but if I were to do it myself, I'd only waste some time. Then do it yourself. Enjoy. Enjoy some time tinkering with stuff. Really trying to figure out, how does this actually work? I know it might not be the mindset for everyone. It's probably just an engineering thing. That's probably why I became an engineer. Just think how? How do they do it? I might have watched that too much as well. Hey. But just dealing with that stuff. I still have a project that I need to do. Is that I want to put some lighting within my closet, because then I can actually see what color my clothing is. Because in the dark, you don't see what color clothing you're putting on, which can lead to clashing colors. So I thought, all right, I'm going to order LEDs, a couple of these 9-volt battery connectors, which means I can connect, these batteries, these 9-volt small batteries. Well, small, they're bricks, but yeah. That I can connect those to some LEDs, but I don't just want to have loose LEDs hanging around within my closet. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to 3D print some housings for them. I even got a roll of, frosted, to mimic frosted glass, so you can really, so it diffuses the light a little bit. So it's not just one bright LED shining in your face. No, it's actually a much more gentler glow. It might still be quite bright, but it's a glow. But I still have to print those housings, and for that I have to readjust my 3D printer that I haven't used in forever. And that's kind of the problem. The longer you let tasks like those hang, the more difficult they're going to be to start. To the point where I'm thinking I might as well just try and save money and go for a new printer to just get around the entire problem. But that might just be me trying to actually get, my 3D printer is still from the olden days of printing, where everything was manual. These days, everything is automatic with 3D printers. You have the automatic bed leveling. It automatically does everything according to some settings. So I could just buy a printer like that for 400 to 500 euros, have it in my room, and just have the ability to manufacture stuff out of plastics. Also, this printer can, I think, only do PLA, maybe PETG, but even though it's a lot tougher material, it might be a little bit more difficult to print with. So I'm not really gonna use. So if I get a new printer, I can actually get more stuff done. That's an argument for that. But considering it's going to be my birthday soon anyway, I might as well put that money towards a printer, actually start using it again. And once I've done some more 3D printing work. You know, just enjoy the time and enjoy the printer a little bit more. Print some more stuff. And deal with it that way. Then I can fix that project that cleans up my desk a little bit as well. Then I, can actually have... that's why I chose batteries as well, instead of just a solid power supply. And those connectors, like I can easily now just disconnect the batteries, get a couple other ones. Because I might want to actually go for, like, if these ones are dead, like run out, I might want to get some rechargeable 9-volt batteries. So, oh no, the battery is empty. Let me recharge it instead of buying new ones. And because I wanted to operate like a fridge, I brought a fridge switch. All in all, it might have spent like $10. I still have some wiring from my dad left, which I can use for that. I did buy soldering iron though. That cost some money, but hey, it's the price you pay for having an actual functional, piece of equipment and a way of actually making stuff. Because soldering iron is quite handy for whenever you have to fix something. Like, oh, a piece of electrical equipment broke. Let me fix it real quick. And have it done quite quickly. Like, just fixing things is fun. Of course, that is just me. A lot of people think fixing stuff is just a boring task that has to be done. But if you want to, fixing stuff, like, actually I want to know, would you guys be interested in me actually making or streaming, which would require a little bit of a different setup? But do you want to see me actually fixing stuff if it breaks? Like, instead of having the gaming content that you're looking at right now, with me ranting on about right to repair and everything, me actually fixing stuff. Like, would you guys be open to that? If you are, let me know. I want to... because then I know I can start working on that. If you have anything to fix. Of course, it has to be small and has to fit on my desk. Would also be a great excuse to clean my desk up. Because then I can show you guys how to fix stuff. Maybe fail at it a couple of times. Gain some skills. You guys could gain some skills as well. By watching. And maybe getting interested in trying it yourself. Yeah, that's for a potential different time. And yeah, because I would definitely be open to doing stuff like that. And otherwise, you can always do one very simple trick that I've learned. It's called looking up a tutorial. Because it's a lot easier than figuring it out yourself. And they can also have the true satisfaction of doing things yourself. And then finding out that what you did is actually easily doable. Yeah, I also should maybe I think I still have a couple. Like I was thinking, when do I have to do an oil change on my car? But I don't really have like I got the car at 134 thousand kilometers, and it says oil change needs to be done every 30,000 kilometers or a year. And well, I'm currently at 38, I think, getting close to 38, like 37 half. Or I'm already at 138. But that means that I still have like 10,000 kilometers. Which, if I do that, I can then buy like some 4 liters of oil. Just probably gonna buy 5 liters, and then if I buy 4 oil changes later, I have another free oil change basically. Because I save the 4 liter from one can from the first 1 liter from the 5 liters because I only use 4. I have a 1 liter left. And the second time, I'm also going to have a liter left, which means I can put that with the first one. Now you have half an oil change after 2 times. Then you do the third one, you add that liter as well. And the fourth time you do your oil change, you put the 4th liter within the first 3. Now you have 4 liters in that container again. Then the next time you do your oil change, you can just grab that container, empty it, and now you have 0 containers left. And you basically got one for free. Because I don't think you can easily buy oil in 4-liter containers. If you can buy 1 liters, 5 liters. Do I add a keel to this? Don't keels have like a number or anything? I'm wondering if this small keel will actually work. Oh no. Oh, this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. Yes, who forgot to turn on the audio for you guys? Why did nobody say anything? I had an entire conversation with a friend. And all you could hear was my side, like I'm talking to myself. Why did nobody say anything? Like, if it seems like I'm just pulling out a conversation out of my ass, just ask me if my audio's turned on. Please. Because it's a really annoying issue. Because I can't really fix it. Damn it. Oh well. Can't do anything about it now, so I don't have to worry about it. Let's see. Let's grab the helm. Where do I want to put the fire control system, though? In a place where you're safe and can't really get hurt. Oh, I know. Oh, I have a dumb idea. Oh, I have an idea. I have an idea. I have an idea. Seat. I want to see how this will work. Yeah, I turn my audio and microphone off because I often like to watch YouTube till right before I go live. So, with my audio and video turned off, yeah. Hmm. I should actually make a almost like a pre-flight checklist. Actually, let's do that right now. I have a notepad here, and I'm going to point is still a point, don't need to sharpen it yet. I'm trying to get rid of most of my pencils by using them, because at school I basically, like the first couple of years you're in like your secondary school, you basically buy, especially the first year, you buy everything that's on the list, considering that's somewhat necessary. You get a list with school supplies, and you go get those school supplies, like an eraser, pencils, pens, notebooks, everything, like from the paper to the pencil, pen, everything. Pencil case, because, you actually need those to put the pencil and everything in. And in the second year, you do it again. Because you think, oh, well, I need new supplies. So you think, well, I can use that. Over the years, you start to collect some stuff. And then you end up with a 12 pack of pencils in your drawer for multiple years, unopened, because you're not using them. So I thought, well, I might as well start using my pencils. I still have to bring my pencil case to work, actually, because there I actually, even though I do all of my work on PC, I still use my pencil or my pen occasionally to write stuff down, to take notes. I should actually start bringing back the to-do list that I used to have. But let me actually do the stream. Check list. Stream checklist. Exclamation mark, to make sure that it's stream checklist. And then we have step 1. It's going to be a pretty obvious one, which is going to be OBS running and functional. OBS running and functional is step 1. Then step 2 is game. It takes some getting used to writing cursive again. Running and functional. So we have that. So we have the first, a check if OBS is running and functional, which is necessary. Then check if the game is running and functional, which is necessary to, actually see if I can do stuff. Then 3 is gonna be the mute mic and audio. 4 is basically going to be music ready. Music needs to be ready as well. Then we have step 5, which is going to be the start stream. Like basically, I've launched OBS. I've checked the game. I muted my stuff. I checked if my music is ready. Then we check the stream title and game. So then I do. This is basically like server inactivity in Stormworks, but this checklist is actually necessary, and otherwise I won't do it because I'm not sure if it's something that needs to be diagnosed. But if I don't do something when I either get asked to do it or if I think of doing it, it's going to be a thing that takes forever. So then I change the stream title and the game to whatever I want to do. So now everything is basically ready to stream. So step 6 is basically going to be the start stream. Between brackets stream deck with the stream deck. Then 7 is gonna be step 7 is I think is gonna be the last step. So if I press my Steam Deck button, it starts Spotify as well with the music you're currently listening to. Then we have the most important step: unmute mic and start stream. And step 8, which is the final step, unmute audio and enjoy. There we go. So my stream checklist for if I want to, I have a stream day and it's getting close to 8 p.m., which is the time I start at, which is either +1 or +2. I think, like, timing, like, just general time, like universal time. Basically, the time in England. Which, of course, we take the British time as a standard. But it's check if OBS is running and functional. Basically, check if because my camera is often the issue. So check if my camera is ready. My game is ready. So not that I have to still open the game when I start. Then mute the mic and the audio. So I only have the music ready. Then check if the music itself is ready, which is just launching the program, seeing if the volume is correct and the playlist is correct, because you don't want to play the wrong playlist and end up playing copyrighted music. Then change the stream title and the game to whatever you see, so that to make sure the notification that you get is actually what you get when you click on it. That's to make sure, because otherwise things are going to be annoying. Because then you think, oh cool, Derail Valley. Oh no, wait, it's Stormworks. Then you have the starting of the stream. This happens at because I want to be on the dot, on the second. That's why I have my seconds turned on my PC, which is a Windows setting that didn't used to be there. That's why 11 o'clock used to exists. But these days you can actually quickly like put the seconds in. It does say using more battery. On a desktop, it doesn't really matter. But at 2 minutes before 8, used to be 5, but I feel like 5 minutes of waiting time often loses viewers. So 2 minutes of waiting time is like the start. It's a start stream. Then we're already at step 6. Step 7, which is second to last, is unmute the mic and start the stream. So that's basically my intro when I say hello, I'm back, and everything. What we're gonna do, and then with who I am. At that point, do I want to unmute the audio so you know I can start my stream in peace and do all that without you guys hearing other stuff apart from the music, and then enjoy. That's the 8-step thing that it's a shame it is not a post-it. Although, is it gonna stop me? No. Because I've learned from my job that taping shit to your monitor works. Like I was busy with drawings, right? And each drawing has this little thing in the corner, right? The block with information. Which is valuable because that actually says, alright, with this, you know, it's made by this person, this is the scale, everything is like this. You know, it gives you the details. I often forgot that, to change that. Like, specifically the part with the revisions. Because, you know, the entire revision part where it's, you know, I changed something, so now a revision is made. So we changed from version A to version B to C, D, E, and I think the latest F. Jaguar XF Sport Brake. Thanks for the follow. How does that card? What does that card look like? But like I used to often forget that, so at my job we sort of started this thing where I put first I put one post-it underneath my monitor to sort of, you know, remind me. Then I kept forgetting it still. So what we did, I grabbed another one. I wrote like onderhoek, which is basically what it's called in Dutch. You know, the title blocker stuff. Like I wrote that on another post-it and put it underneath, like on top of the other one, like at the bottom. So you sort of make this chain, just make it longer. And each time I forgot it, I would put another one underneath. So eventually I reached 3. Then I started thinking, like, all right, as soon as it touches the desk, if it reaches that point, I would then give the whole office some food. Like I would say, all right, I kept forgetting it. I'm gonna have a little compensation. But then I started remembering it actually. I was like, all right, well, I would catch myself being like, all right, this. And part of the deal that I made with myself was if I remembered, I got to remove a post-it. Currently, there's still one on there, and even though I remembered a couple of times, I'm going to keep that there as a reminder to myself, because I keep sometimes looking at it thinking, oh yeah, I need to do that. So if you keep forgetting something, just put a reminder somewhere. Like put a post-it on the bottom of your monitor. Like, of course, not like fully in the center of it, for example. That would be dumb. Like, let me block my monitor because then I can't forget. Like, but if you're afraid you're gonna forget something, set an alarm. Slap a post-it on it. Remind yourself in a physical way. Not just think, oh yeah, no, I can't forget that, because you will. I speak from experience here. That's why today, because I left my job, and next week I'm gonna have a course on the software that we use. It's gonna be fun, but I need my laptop for that. So I put a post-it, because often I close my laptop, put it in one of my drawers on my desk, and then close it, because next day I'm gonna be at the office anyway, so yeah. So I was smart. I grabbed a post-it, said bring laptop, slapped it on the back of my laptop, so when I close my laptop to put it away, it says bring laptop. I'm like, oh yeah, I need to do that. So I put it in my backpack, brought my backpack with me. Made sure that my mouse and a charger is in there as well, so I have that with me. It makes a lot of sense. But to me, it was a nice reminder to myself to basically not forget what I need to bring. Let me actually not get distracted again by looking at a Jaguar XF Sport Brake. Because I'm curious. Oh, that's the station wagon version. Doesn't look bad. Looks nice. Good username. I can get behind that. Because, yeah. Like, in Europe, as opposed to the United States, we do have station wagons here these days. It is not just a relic of the past. Although you do see more crossovers, we still have our station wagons, and I basically have a soft spot for them. I do like a good station wagon. Like, they basically have the practicality of an SUV, or at least the space, while still having the practicality of a normal car. You can still basically haul everything with you, but instead of having the massive ground clearance and massive fuel consumption an SUV has, which, to be fair, it does have, SUVs have a lot more fuel consumption and are often way heavier, while a station wagon of comparable size, or at least length, can still get your whole family from A to B and fit a bunch of stuff without much trouble. I'm still very confused of why people don't really, deal with it. Like, it's just like, either you, in my opinion, you should either get a hatchback if you don't need the space. Like, I don't need the space. That's why I drive a small little hatchback. Like, yeah, I've at one point had shoved my car quite full. Like, I had a big box of sound absorbing tiles that are on my wall behind me as well. I still always have a box of bunch of stuff, like wiper fluid, some tools, basic necessities for a car, in case something were to happen on the way. Like a first aid kit, triangle, the basics. But that also fills up a little bit. I still have the window mechanism that the old one. I still have that one in the car. The wiper that I replaced recently is in there. But even though if I move my rear seat forward, which I can do that, like, it was still completely crammed full. Like, it only fit 2 people in the front. Driver and a passenger. Sort of sad. Not that big of an issue, though. But it does kind of, like, if, let's say I manage to find a partner, girlfriend, and we start a family. At that point, having to deal with putting a child in the back seat every time because it's a 3-door car, which means I get to put a child into a car that needs to have to pull the seat forward, put the child in the back, and then close it off again. Then it might be time for a station wagon. It has practicality. It has, it has the 5 doors that one needs. And yeah, that's pretty much just. But I feel like the only 2 types of cars it should be for like a normal person to use. Of course, you still have your vans for the people working, because a van is often more practical. But the big SUVs that are on the road these days, not necessary. Like, they just use a lot of fuel. All they do is basically show that you're compensating. You're not fooling anyone. If you actually drive a car like that, you are compensating for it. At that point, you are compensating for your size. There is no denying it anymore. Everybody knows. Wait, will this actually work? If I kind of need to put it one lower, don't I? Or do I? Yeah, I need to put it one lower. But the reason I put it there is because it's at the end, and then I simply grab this monitor, cut and paste, and boom, boom, merge, remove, switch box. Where's my compact switch box? Compact switch box, yes. Yeah, maybe if you want something more sporty, like you can get something less practical, like a coupe or a sedan, which, yeah, I can still see if you have a sedan in family. Like, that is something I fully understand. But just the pickup truck and all the other big, heavy SUV type cars, like, they're just a waste of, oh, come on, it's the other way around. Like, yes, my monitor is not all the way up, apparently. Oh, now it's gone. Now it's back up. It is still a little bit stuck in there. Don't really want to have to push this down even more. Oh, well, at least I can, merge this one with that one. Merge that one. Shave the weight off there, and then simply build a casing around it. There we go. Yeah, this stream is truly a return to my old streams. Which is just me ranting on about stuff that annoys me. Like, we want this to be right here. Oh, that's why. Why won't my track go up? Maybe because we're missing a spot. There we go. Shit. Monitor, yay. Like now you can see stuff, and then once you get out, it sinks back in, so you can have your full vision while driving, and then you can have this while shooting. Yeah, truly return to form. Also, although I might want to tape, like where do I want to tape it to the monitor where it isn't going to be obstructing something, or touching, like it's too long there. Where would I put it where it's easily visible? My camera? Hold on. Yeah, I'm not going to put it in front of the camera. Although it would make it really visible. That gives me another idea. It really gives me another idea. How would I connect that though? To the monitor. Can't really tape it to the back of it, and it would just hang like that, but I guess it could work. Where is some tape? I have multiple tapes here. I guess this will do. Electrical tape. Because why not? It's black. That's probably why, because it blends in with the monitor, which is also black. We do have to pull it loose first. Get a little bit of a length going. You know, just enough to put on the thing so it sticks. Then we grab scissors. By the way, be careful. Always be careful with scissors. Cut. Do that. Throw that there. Make sure don't stretch the tape because electrical tape likes to stretch somewhat. It's basically rubber tape. It's, if you think about it. Tape one half to the piece of paper. Great, now I have this, as you can see. Then I bring that to the monitor and I tape it to the monitor. At an angle, of course. Can I take it off and redo it? Yes, I can. Because it does have to go on straight. Like that. And now I can never lose that piece of paper again. Now, let's work on the camera for this boat. Like, that's the neat thing about those turret rings, because you can continuously turn them. If I manage to sync it up with this camera angle, I can aim forward, and this will be aiming backwards. So this gun... Like, I need to have a range where... Because... Does it have a... Yeah, current rotation? Like, if the current rotation equals, like... I have to find this angle, and at the front I have to find... You know, this angle here. So that if it's within this bit where it can hit itself, it doesn't hurt itself. It disables that turret, so you can easily just swing the camera around, which in that case I might want to use a velocity pivot. So you can swing the camera around to one side. Your guns do the same thing. You zoom in, you really fine-tune your aim. And once that's done... Hello.
Hello.
Hello. You're back.
At long last.
I just heard some moans, basically.
That I do not know.
Like I heard you made noise. I heard you made noises, so I was like, yeah,
I mean, I am still slowly dying because of fucking being sick, but outside of that,
yeah,
that's do be winter life.
yeah. I've already been sick.
Lucky bastards.
Well, you say that, but it was really annoying.
Yeah, but that at least means it's fucking past.
Although for me it was like 1 day. Like, well, technically 3 day. Yeah, technically half a week, but it started on Tuesday where I was like, I'm getting slightly sick. But it's like I was technically sick already, but I was like, I'm gonna go just like I'm gonna use the advice from my mom and just try, right? Just go and see if you make it out alive. That worked on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I woke up and I was like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna go to work in this state. So I didn't. I messaged in sick because I couldn't call at that time because voice basically dead. Was sick for 1 day, then came back Thursday. Still basically being somewhat sick, and Friday still being somewhat sick, and on that Monday I was basically back to normal again. So I spent half a day being sick, or half a week being sick, but spending only 1 week or 1 day at home. Power switch. This is infrared mode. Wait, laser.
By the way, you're doing something very similar to what I did with my artillery truck, essentially.
I'm putting this camera up here so that this monitor here displays where you're aiming, and these guns automatically aim for that.
Yeah, for me, it's just where that camera is looking is also where that thing is aiming.
Yeah, that's going to be the same thing. But with this, it's also going to be if the front turret moves into a position where it hits this turret or this building, it basically comes back around the center itself. And
The hard part is you essentially have to not do the same elevation for your camera as for your guns because of bullet drop.
I don't even have elevation on the camera, I just have it rotate.
Yeah, you're not aiming for fucking shit from that, I'm gonna be honest.
Good
Like,
point.
the closest distance you're gonna see is gonna be in kilometers, which is useless in Stormworks with a gun.
Well, considering it's Stormworks,
Like, you probably want to have it elevated more and have it pivot.
yeah, but to be
Because
fair,
currently your minimum pivot range is still quite a decent distance away from the ship.
also having it off center like this probably isn't the smartest either.
That's not ideal.
But that's easily solvable with this. And then, because I'm like that, no, I don't. I'm just gonna add a laser next to it, so you can find the ship easy. All I have to do is follow the laser to its source. I should actually still see if the propulsion works. If this flat 6 actually can push this ship forward at a decent pace. So let me quickly... I'm just getting too excited by the firing system.
to be fair, this is also just not a very modern ship.
Yeah.
Like just like IRL, broadsiding just became useless because of missiles.
Yeah. Because we basically went from I have to fight you within visual range to you're not seeing me, boom, you're dead.
Yeah, but that's that is literally what my ship does. To be fair,
Yeah, this is more for hopefully if I can get this fast enough, I can sort of go for you go in with some speed, you aim your camera to the target, you shoot, everything misses, the other ship launches a missile and you're dead.
the thing is, that missile would already be shot far before you even see me.
Radar.
Precisely.
Although, hold
Which, to be
on.
fair, my ship doesn't currently have radar.
Do
But
flares
even then,
work?
Kinda. Depends on the missile system.
Because otherwise I can just install a flare launcher. Like a bunch of flares. Like, especially if
Yeah,
you go
the
air to,
thing is,
if you use a
the thing is,
missile, you
I'm
can.
using radar. I'm pretty sure, and so you'd have to be using chaff instead of flares.
Yeah, if I just use a bunch of flares and shoot them up in the sky, where the missile comes from,
You
would it,
say that, but that isn't necessarily true.
like a torpedo, you're not hitting.
With my bigger ship, long range ship missile, it is hovering quite low to the water actually.
Yeah, because you want to hit as low as possible. If you come from the top, you're not gonna do shit to the ship. It's not gonna sink.
Even I mean, the thing is also I also have short range missiles that are more agile. So
Yeah, and I just have 4 artillery cannons.
yeah, trust me, you're not gonna be happy if you get hit repeatedly with missiles.
Yeah, all you have to do is hit just one bit of a system, and everything just collapses.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. This thing is not that small. Not only that, it doesn't only have missiles. It also has heavy autocannons, rotary autocannons, machine guns.
Yeah, this thing can stay quite far distance where autocannons and rotary autocannons sort of.
I am returned.
Ah, you're back.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you're shooting at a distance where I can't hit you with a gun, you're most likely also not hitting with a gun. Because I can stably fire till about sight range.
What is your distance
With
set at?
I just look at if if the ship is still visible on the horizon.
What is that distance actually? Hold on, let me check my settings real quick to see if that.
I'm
Like
pretty sure that's like 1 to 2, somewhere between 1 and 2 kilometers
My
before you
view.
start really. But I'm not talking about view distance. I'm really talking about the actual visual sign, the visual of the ship being big enough that you can realistically spot it.
Yeah, it'll just to load in.
That's also another thing. But that's a thing, as long as you're piloting it should be fine. So, like, realistically speaking, like, not only that, like, 1, I have missiles at that range. 2, I still can hit you with the heavy autocannon too.
Yeah.
And I'll most likely be faster at setting it up, as I just have to aim in your general direction with the missiles. And then I can just switch to the heavy autocannon.
Yeah, that one will probably be underwater.
Like, speed doesn't work against my style of ship because it is the one that speeds. Like, it is a very it is not necessarily a fast ship, but it's very agile.
Yeah. Also, I haven't actually, like, for those who were here last week, I basically asked to make a counter. And I said during that stream that I would try and get to it on Thursday, you know. One day to figure it out. If I have it, I have it, otherwise I don't. I kind of forgot what I was going to be doing that evening. Because yesterday I drove back from work with a friend. At least I cleaned my rabbit's toilet as I do every day. We then went for some food. Then we drove for like over an hour to go to a cinema to watch the second FNAF movie. So my entire evening was spent being surprised by lore drops from a movie. Was a good movie though, although definitely aimed at the community and not aimed at the general public. That's why on Rotten Tomatoes it scores so low. Because for somebody that isn't within the community or knows very little, only knows the basics, it can still be a little bit confusing. Like, you'd have to watch the first movie before you watch the second movie.
Which is logical, yes.
Yeah, but otherwise you will not get some things. Like, if you haven't
Also,
watched
I will also say about our different type of ships, mine is just very much over upgunned.
Yeah, from what I've heard, of course.
Like, it has a couple of big long-range missiles. It has a good bit of shorter-range, more agile missiles. It has a dual autocannon turret and 2 more rotary autocannon turrets.
Yeah, this one will just have 2 turrets. One front, one back. I might actually put a couple of machine guns somewhere. Like on the back here. So you can quickly like rush out, grab the machine guns and shoot at something. Like an airplane.
It is also a very vulnerable ship if I look at it.
Yeah, considering you have to swing massive turrets around just to get somewhere.
I mean, not even just that. No matter where you hit, you are almost guaranteed to hit something vital.
You hit the back here, you're gonna hit the turret, which is vital, or you hit the engine, that's vital. The fuel tank's in the middle, so that's pretty safe. If you hit around this line, yeah, you're hitting the water line, so that's always dangerous. Front, you hit the turret. This bottom part is the least dangerous bit, basically, because it's just nothing but open space. The bridge is the vital compartment that once you hit, basically the entire ship falls dead.
Yeah, but I mean, that's also why the more modern style I for instance use is far better. Because you just have more dead space, which means less likely to fucking die.
Yeah. Rotation.
It also allows for relative safety on the back of the ship. Typically. Because it's more oriented for frontwards combat rather than sideways.
Yeah, because this sideways combat, especially if you expose this side. Like, there's a monitor that pops up here. You will see that. There is somebody sitting behind there, so if you specifically aim for the monitor, that pops up. That's
I mean,
an auto
let's say
win.
it like this: the missile will always aim at roughly the middle of the creation.
Which in this scenario is basically this room here.
Yeah, but it's most likely gonna hit more towards the waterline.
Yeah, so you basically hit this piece of that space here. Which will probably sink it.
You will most likely still be damaged as a player.
Potentially, yeah. But because of its
Like,
size,
you
it
won't
should be...
necessarily be one tap, but you will get damaged.
Yeah, but considering the size of the ship, you should be able to easily fix the problems that pop up. Although it would mean I'm out of action and can't fire.
I would actually have to look at what ammo I'm using, but I'm pretty sure one of the rounds I use is also fire, like incendiary.
Yeah, that doesn't really work with a boat.
You'd be surprised.
Well, it will work, it will make it sink, but once it's sunk, the fire will put itself out.
Not necessarily. You'd be surprised.
From my experience, if a ship is fully submerged, like you've just sunk.
Yeah, but if it's fully submerged, you really have bigger issues than fire, don't you?
Oxygen mainly. But I'm going to... Ooh, I haven't saved it in a while. Oof, I'm going to deafen myself on Discord real quick. Because I'm going to press a button. That's going to switch to the ending soon screen. Because I will be ending it here soon because I'm getting tired. I had a short night last night because I only got home around 12 after spending over an hour at a movie. And yeah, I really need to sleep. But if you enjoyed, if you want to see more of it, make sure to let me know. If you want to see me fixing stuff that's broken, also let me know. Because, yeah, even if you have any other ideas on what I could stream, or any other weird ideas, you know, every bit of feedback is welcome. And yeah, next stream will be next Wednesday. You know, starting to keep to my schedule again, so expect the stream to happen on Thursday, not Thursday, on Wednesday. If something does change, if I don't forget to do it, there will be an update on my Discord in the channel announcements where people will know that the stream will be moved, because I don't like to cancel them anymore. I like to move them if I can't make it for some reason. And yeah, as you can see, there's going to be variety. It's probably going to be the Royal Valley again, or something else. I don't know yet. It's variety. And yeah, I wish everybody a very pleasant evening, night, morning, afternoon, or other time you live in. And for me, goodbye.